Shalom, 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 shalom. First and foremost, giving infinite praises, glory, and honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem El Shah, Ba'ashem HaKodash. Giving double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone, shalom and salutation to you sincere occupants across the four winds, pushing this truth with sincerity of heart. I'm your fellow servant, Kasama God from the DC camp, coming at you through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem El Shah, Ba'ashem HaKodash to feed the elect. And in this edition of the Watchtower, and basically, again, it's prophecy, man, and it's a lot going on, as you should be well aware. With the serpent's juice out there, man, and people having to be put in uncomfortable situations, people having to make decisions, people's jobs being on the line, people being coerced. People being coerced to pretty much have to make decisions, when it comes to the serpent's juice. All right. And I was going to make this real quick because an individual who's well known in the world, a philosopher, his name is Noam Chomsky, which I've heard of. I've seen a couple of his videos before, man, when he kind of, he would get down into the infrastructure, the fiat money and all these different things. And, and he basically, I remember this one documentary from Noam Chomsky, if I'm saying it right, one of his documentaries on Russia Today. And, he was doing a good breakdown, man, of how things are falling apart, why they're falling apart, the money system, how it's affecting society, so on and so forth. So, you're thinking, hey, man, this guy's this guy's onto something. And on top of that, his background, from what he said, his family was so-called Jews of the Jewish state that were pretty much going through that whole ordeal with Hitler back in the 40s, which I'm not going to get into the details of that. People who know the history know the history. People who don't. It is what it is. What we do know is that the truth is the true descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We know that to be the truth. Okay, we're the ones that are really going into captivity, and everything that happened back then, those things that did happen in the 40s in Germany was pretty much a prequel. It was kind of like a trial run for what's getting ready to happen to you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you Israelites in these ghettos and these neighborhoods. Okay, you're gonna undergo some very, very, very crazy things. All right, that's gonna totally destroy the majority of our people on a carnal level. Now, this is philosopher Noam Chomsky. It says, view that unvaccinated people should be isolated sparks debate. So that's his view. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just going to read his view, and I'm going to bring some precepts. It says, philosopher Noam Chomsky has sparked a heated debate by arguing that those who do not get jabbed should be isolated from others. In a wide-ranging interview recorded in June, in which he answered audience-submitted questions, Chomsky offered his views on mandating jabs and said that while he disagreed with the policy, he thought that those who refuse jabs should isolate because they become a danger to the community. So that's his view, you know what I'm saying? And it says the clip has resurfaced on social media today and is causing controversy. So there's a lot of talk about the statement that he made, but the point of this video is to basically, more warning to the elect, the hopeful elect, the 144,000, and the remaining of the 1/3, to understand the climate and the times in which we were in. We're no longer in the times where people were kind of gung-ho about freedom of speech and the Constitution. The Constitution is that paper. First of all, that paper never protected Israelites because, we always known that in that paper it still states that we are 3/5 of a man. But the First Amendment, a lot of Israelites have been so-called protected in certain situations under that First and Second Amendment. But you have to understand, our protection is our power. That piece of paper called the First Amendment and the mindset of the people who used to quote unquote try to believe in that is gone. We getting ready to enter into a climate where people will be okay with others being thrown into concentration camps and quarantine camps. People will actually advertise and plead for the government to go from house to house. I'm talking about regular citizens, regular United States citizens that for years talked about freedom of speech and this and this and that. You will see them advocate for the authorities to go and search and capture people from house to house and put them in quarantine camps, concentration camps, re-educational camps. We going into this time, and there's many people that have that mindset, and it's going to be the multitude. So you have to be prepared to not only make certain decisions, you have to be prepared for when certain decisions are made towards you, that you won't be surprised and you won't be shocked and at what's going down, because this is all prophesied. Okay. A lot of people have this mentality, and they really believe that, hey, if you have to be isolated, if you have to be separated, that's what it's going to have to be by any measure. It's not a joke. Now, let's look up the word isolation. When you go back to the word, when you go to Edom Online, I went to the word isolation. So I pulled up isolate. That says to set or place apart, to detach so as to make alone. Okay, so it's all about isolation, because what happens when you're isolated? When you're isolated, you're not a part of the community. You're not a part of the system, the society. You pretty much cut off. You become an outcast. All right, people don't want to talk to you. People don't want to deal with you. People won't let their children deal with with your children. And the way society is built and the way we've been raised, we haven't been raised to survive by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We've been raised to survive in society. From where we shop, where we get our food from, where we get our water from, everything is all a part of this technocratic society. Everything is linked like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you being outcast out of society is pretty much a death sentence, to be honest, at this particular stage. And there we are in humanity, especially in the West. A lot of our people would die alone. They would die if they didn't have access to these resources, because they don't know how to get these resources by themselves. Even us, as I'm speaking, you put me out there in the wild, I'm just going to trust in the Lord, because I haven't been taught to, to go ahead and hunt and all of these things that we were taught back in the ancient times. You know what I'm saying? We haven't been taught these things. So we have to solely rely on Yahweh Shemel Shah to protect us as we become isolated or set apart, become outcasts from this society because of the decisions that we're going to have to make very soon. Okay. Now let's go to Luke chapter 6, verse 21. It says, "Blessed are ye that hunger now, for ye shall be filled. Blessed are ye that weep now, for ye shall laugh." So a time of weeping. I mean, we've been weeping, beginning with the prophets, but hey, look, the rest of the elect are weeping as well. All right, but it's gonna be flipped. All right, it's gonna be flipped, man. You have to believe that it's gonna be flipped. Verse 22, the main point, it says, "Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company." That's what it means to be isolated. So you're going to be isolated from society because of the decision that you're going to have to be forced to make. But why are you making these decisions? Because ultimately you believe in Yahweh Shem Shah, and you've been warned of the plot and everything that's happening, why it's happening. So making these decisions are going to have you set apart and separated from society in total isolation. Verse 22, "Blessed are ye when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you from their company, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake." All right, because, hey, that's what's going to be. That's what it's going to be. All right. And there will be blood in certain instances. The scripture tells you in Sirach 22, I think it's 22 and 24, something like that. It states that after reviling, there's, just as smoke comes before fire, so is blood after reviling. So after you become reviled, meaning they got to assassinate your character. Once they successfully assassinate your character, now it's open season. Now they can literally kill you, and everybody else will be okay with you dying. Because even if you're the good character, but if the narrative out there is that you're the bad character, you're the evil person, you're the reason why, society has fallen to the estate that it is now, the majority of the multitude will be okay with your head hanging. You have to understand that. It's not a joke. Okay? It's not a joke. 1942 East Germany, when I did the research, the mindset that they had where they were doing a lot of the stuff that Hitler was doing, it didn't start off like that. But it gradually got to that point where society were like, yo, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, it's going to be okay for some people to die. It's going to get real just like that. And it's going to be it's going to be 100 times worse, according to the book of Daniels. So we got to prepare ourselves spiritually, mentally, man. Revelation 2:10, fear none of these things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. It's still isolation, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. And I'm going to end with this. This is, and remember this, regardless if you become an outcast or you thrown in isolation, whether it be by yourself or maybe with family, whatever. No, you're not really. Ultimately, you're not by yourself. All right. This is what Yahweh Shah said. All right. As Yahweh Shah was leaving after the resurrection. This is what he said. Matthew chapter 28, verse 18. It says, and Yahweh Shah came and spake unto them, saying, all power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. So you have to understand that, yeah, although Yahweh Shah is not here with us physically, he's here with us in the spirit, and he still was given power in earth. Okay. Now he hasn't fully taken over in a physical manner, but everything that's moving is moving according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Shah. It says, verse 19, it says, go ye therefore and teach all nations, which those nations are all the tribes of Israel scattered across the four winds. That's what the word nation stands for right there. All the 12 tribes scattered across the four winds. Go ye therefore and teach all nations or all tribes, baptizing them in the name of the Father Yahweh and of the Son Yahweh Shah and of the Holy Spirit. Verse 20, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. So Yahweh Shah is with us. He's going to be with us even when we go into these modes of isolation, being thrown into these prisons, become outcasts because of the decisions that we're going to be forced to make when it comes to the serpent sauce. And ultimately, when it comes down to the MOTB, the mark of the beast, which is indeed the RFID microchip. So you're going to have to make these decisions, and you have to be ready to be an outcast. All right. So that's what I want to bring forth. This is another edition of the Watchtower, going into prophecy. Carl Halam La Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, double honors to our apostles and elders. The great millstone, Shalom salutation. Jesus said, Akim, scores the four winds. Shalom.